And it goes a little something like.
How can you love you all summer and after fall?
Hi everyone. Welcome to the second episode of SheTheKranti Co-Feminist GuffGaff podcast series. In this episode, today we'll be talking about Afno personal school experiences growing up, sort of trying to unpacking these experiences from a feminist lens. So I mean, this is my personal experience, but I think most people who grow up, who go to schools in Kathmandu, especially private schools, because I think that's हामी तिनैजनाको experience. So will be, I mean, just because हाम्रो experience यो particular domain of schools matter, would not like to generalize our experience, तर just be explicit about it सुरुमै. So this is what we're referring to. Although हामी आफ्नो individual schools को नाम लिँदैनौँ, तर they're schools in Kathmandu. So I don't know, growing up, I think now looking back, I realized just how problematic some of the things that my school did was, I know. अनि growing up, as a school student, I didn't particularly realize how problematic they were, just because how normalized they were, right? Just you every day in school you see that happen. You know that it happened before you. You know that it happens now. And त्यसपछि कस्तो त्यो question गर्ने चाहिँ चलनै थिएन, अथवा हुन्छ नि, you I guess don't do it or don't realize how problematic it is until you step out of that experience and see it in retrospect. I think that's what my experience been होइन. अनि अहिले चाहिँ रियलाइज के कति कति प्रब्लमेटिक हुँदाखेरि पनि कति नर्मलाइज थियो भनेर. And it's very unfortunate that things are probably happening the same way right now as we talk, होइन. अनि and I feel fortunate because the opportunities I had, the conversations I had, the exposure I had to things made me realize about the problematic nature of these experiences. Not everyone has this exposure, has these opportunities, exposure to conversations that I had. अनि त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ so many of us never come to the realization of how problematic these things that are done in schools, that are perpetuated by schools are. अनि त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ, and just because हुन्छ नि, as kids we're so malleable, होइन, हाम्रो थट्सहरू फर्म हुने एउटा प्राइमेरी सोसलाइजेसन एरिया नै स्कुल हो नि त, होइन. स्कुल र घर, वी स्पेन्ड मोर टाइम इन स्कुल्स ग्रोइङ अप देन वी स्पेन्ड इन आवर होम. अनि त्यसैले स्कुल्समा भएको एक्सपिरियन्सेस, स्कुल्सले गरेको कुरा, दे शेप a lot how we think, what we think is right and wrong, how we question things, how we approach things, what's normal to us, what's not, होइन. अनि त्यो कहिले पनि र स्कुल्सहरूले प्रब्लमेटिक कुरा इन द problematic कुराहरू गरेपछि चाहिँ many people sort of never question that. अनि त्यही माइन्डसेटले हुर्किन्छ, बढ्छ, अनि त्यसपछि सोसाइटीमा त्यही कन्टिन्यू भइरहन्छ in a cycle. So yeah, that's why we're here to talk about these things and sort of try to unpack them.
Yeah, absolutely. Pooja Didi, do you want to add something to it?
आर्याले भने जस्तै मलाई पनि अहिलेको अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङको हिसाबले चाहिँ नि जुन कुराहरू स्कुलमा भएको थियो धेरै जसो चिजहरू, होइन, दे वर नट रियली, I really enjoyed back then and did not really care about it. And I might have questioned some of the practices, but in silence. And never really thought it worth any, segregation for discourses, yeah, or standing up to it. So त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अहिले पनि कति धेरै कुराहरूमा क्वेसन गर्ने बानी छैन, होइन. I totally agree with Arya about what, these issues.
मैले चाहिँ, if I'm to talk about all of these things, I think त्यो स्कुलले हुन्छ नि एउटा दुईटा तरिकाले हामीलाई सिकाइरहेको हुन्छ नि. One is the formal curriculum that they teach, अनि अर्को इज द हिडन करिकुलम वाला आइडिया विच इज बेसिकली हामीलाई म्यानर्स सिकाउने डिसिप्लिन सिकाउने होइन अब मलाई चाहिँ लाइक when I was growing up I had this subtle conditioning from both these sides के formal curriculum मा I don't really know if we were taught about these women in the society that were women like representation, ki the marginalized group or like representation or something like that. We never had those kind of things, right? And so you grew up reading about heroic men, even you're just if you're just taking the context of social studies, you read about heroic men, and then when you are also talking about biology boy or any other subject that you have त्यसमा पनि it's a very gendered तरिकाले हेरिन्छ के subject लाई suppose it's maths then boys are going to be good at maths if it's something like English it's going to be girls who are better at English or something like that this generalization that was fed to us कि अब biology भयो भने girls are going to be better physics भयो भने boys are going to be better so it's like even if you don't want to condition yourself to it you're forced to condition yourself to that idea you'd say it's the entire talk of formal curriculum somehow the hidden curriculum मा चाहिँ it would be something as small as why is your skirt hem so small or like any things about your socks length, why your hair is not there, why are you sitting with boys, why you're talking with boys, if you have a connection with boys at all. For me, it was like, it would not take them a minute to just classify you as a slut, right? So it's just, you're just like, talking to boys, you're only there around boys and this and that. And so it is kind of I think the kind of things that you grow up with when you're na. And plus, there never was something to make us understand about ourselves, gender, or first of all, the gender fluidity, the idea, the curriculum, we were forced to learn about these gender binaries. I think Dija Didi has more to talk about these things and gender binary. You guys must have a lot to talk about that. But just to touch upon that, say, I think यो सबै कुरालाई चाहिँ neglect गरेर we were forced into this objective idea about how you should do it. Okay? It's like you're studying for a goal that is earning and you're not studying for actually learning things. And even the things that you're learning is हुन्छ नि uh, going to be making you more conformist to the ideas that the society wants you to be. Okay? Tupa lagera basa, make yourself look in a certain way, speak in a certain way, don't speak like this, otherwise the entire everybody is going to perceive you as not a good person, right? If you're aggressive, don't be so aggressive. About school ko environment ma चाहिँ competition like चाहिँ राम्रो भन्ने, but side by side, you're also not going to be liked by your classmates and everybody else if you're uh, too competitive or too authoritative in your stance, like wherever you say. Okay? So यो सानो सानो तरिकाले conditioning जुन गरिरहेको हुन्छ नि हामीलाई, I think that was where everything started to go south for me about the entire school system.
या डेफिनेटली र त्यही त रोजले भने चाहिँ जेन्डर फ्लुइडिटीको आइडिया हुन्छ नि कुनै पनि प्रकारको जेन्डर अवेरनेस चाहिँ नि न करिकुलममा थियो न कुनै पनि कन्भर्सेसन्स द्याट हाम्रो स्कुलले एन्करेज गर्थ्यो त्यसमा थियो होइन एन्ड अन द कन्ट्री एक्चुली सबै कुराले चाहिँ एकदमै जेन्डर बाइनरीलाई इन्फोर्स गर्थ्यो के हुन्छ नि युनिफर्मदेखि लिएर एक्जाम फर्म एसेम्ब्ली लाइन्स नचाहिने कुरा सबै कुराले जेन्डर सेग्रिगेट गराउन खोज्ने कि जस्तो वाइ हुन्छ नि एसेम्ब्ली लाइनमा किन छुट्याउनु पऱ्यो कि केटाकेटी भनेर होइन अनि त्यो हुन्छ नि सबै कुराले चाहिँ इट्स जस्ट दिस आइडिया अफ द बाइनरी जस्ट गेट्स ड्रिल्ड इन्टु यर हेड एन्ड यु स्टार्ट थिङ्किङ ओके हुन्छ नि केटाहरू र केटीहरू भनेको चाहिँ देयर कम्प्लिटली डिफ्रेन्ट स्पिसिज जसरी कि एन्ड देयर इज नथिङ इन बिट्विन होइन र यस्तो फल्स डाइकोटमी चाहिँ नि स्कुलहरूले पर्पेचुएट गरेर चाहिँ या एन्ड लाइक यु से करिकुलममा पनि जेन्डर डिस्क्रिमिनेसनकै बारेमा पनि हुन्छ नि यस त रिप्रेजेन्टेसन जेन्डर रिप्रेजेन्टेसन हुँदै हुँदैन आई थिङ्क देयर वाज एन आर्टिकल इन रेकर्ड यसको बारेमा कसरी लाइक हाम्रो सबै करिकुलममा चाहिँ देयर सिग्निफिकेन्टली डिस्प्रपोर्सनेटली मोर मेन रिप्रेजेन्टेड स्पेसली इन पोजिसन्स अफ पावर एन्ड इन्फ्लुएन्स एन्ड अल अफ द्याट होइन अनि त्यसपछि र सेकेन्ड चाहिँ यो जेन्डर डिस्क्रिमिनेसन इट्सल्फकै कुरालाई पनि कहिले पनि सिरियसली अनप्याक गरेन कि होइन हाम्रो करिकुलमले ओके बिकज एकदम सोसल स्टडिजले जेन्डर डिस्क्रिमिनेसन छ दिस इज अ ब्याड प्र्याक्टिस वी सुड हुन्छ नि एकदमै सुपरफिसियल अथवा सुपरफिसियल लेभलमा चाहिँ नि डिल गर्ने तर कहिले पनि वाट द्याट मिन्स अथवा एक्सेप्ट नगर्ने कि एन्ड अल्सो थिङ्स लाइक ओके नेपालको कन्स्टिट्युसनमा 33% रिप्रेजेन्टेसन छ देयरफोर हामी एकदमै जेन्डर इक्वालिटीमा अगाडि छौँ अथवा वी हेभ अ वुमेन प्रेसिडेन्ट त्यसैले जेन्डर डिस्क्रिमिनेसन चाहिँ हुँदैन यो एकदमै गाउँतिर मात्रै हुन्छ वेयर दे डोन्ट सेन्ड गर्ल्स टु स्कुल तर यस्तो जे पाए त्यही नेरेटिभ्सहरू उ गर्ने कि एकदमै simplistic and unsani that doesn't really capture the lived realities of people across Nepal, and I think that was very problematic. But moving on, let's maybe also talk about some explicitly discriminatory practices that so कुनै पनि gender issuesहरूलाई चाहिँ नि complex ways मा deal कहिले पनि गरेन होइन हाम्रो करिकुलमले एकदमै सिम्प्लिस्टिक र इभन एट टाइम्स फल्स नेरेटिभ्सहरूलाई मात्रै एडभान्स गर्यो जसरी जस्तै हुन्छ नि सोसल स्टडिजमा ओके जेन्डर डिस्क्रिमिनेसन चाहिँ नेपालमा त्यस्तो धेरै छैन किनभने 33% रिप्रेजेन्टेसन छ सो जेन्डर इक्वालिटी अथवा वी हेभ अ वुमेन प्रेसिडेन्ट त्यसैले जेन्डर इक्वालिटी र जेन्डर डिस्क्रिमिनेसन चाहिँ एकदमै इट्स एन इस्यु अफ एकदमै रिमोट गाउँघर तर हुन्छ नि डजन्ट रियली ह्यापन जस्तो जस्ट इनएक्युरेट रिप्रेजेन्टेसन्स अफ द लिभ रियालिटिजलाई चाहिँ त्यसरी प्रमोट गर्थ्यो विच इज भेरी प्रब्लमेटिक
आई त्यो पनि हो होइन अनि त्यसपछि हाम्रो कोर्स बुकहरूमा चाहिँ एकदम क्लियरली नलेखे पनि के डिस्क्रिमिनेसन हटिसक्यो भनेर तर पनि एउटा दुईटा महिला चाहिँ नि पावरफुल पोजिसनमा पुग्यो भन्दैमा चाहिँ नि दे ट्राई टु कभर अप फर अल द यु नो नराम्रो कुरा इन सोसाइटी र अब एकदम न्यारेटिभ इज अल्सो सेट बाई यो भिजुअलाइजेसन होइन जस्तै अब महिलाले चाहिँ नि चुलोमा बसेर भात पकाउने होइन अनि ग्रामर बुकहरूमा चाहिँ नि फलाना ढिम्काना अफिस गयो भन्न खोज्दाखेरि चाहिँ नि केटा मान्छे एकदम सुटेड अप भएर जाने यो यसले चाहिँ नि कसरी हाम्रो कन्साइज चाहिँ एकदम इफेक्ट भइरहेछ भन्ने कुरा हामीले त्यति बेला नोटिस गर्दैनौँ होइन र यसो अब प्रश्न उठाउने चलन नभएपछि चाहिँ नि हाम्रो त्यो प्रश्न गर्ने अनि त्यसपछि काउन्टर गर्ने आर्ग्युमेन्ट डेभलप गर्ने त्यो बौद्धिक क्षमता नै यसरी चाहिँ नि यो कसरी करिक्युलमले बुकले होइन स्कुलको टिचिङ प्र्याक्टिसहरूले चाहिँ नि बच्चाको त्यो दिमागमा असर पारिरहेको छ भन्ने कुरा पनि हामीले धेरै ध्यान दिँदैनौँ स्पेसली जेन्डर्ड लेन्सबाट आई थिङ्क दिस रियली निड्स टु बी टक्ड अबाउट अनि त्यही हो खास
Yeah. And I don't know, let's also talk about some these things that we talked about either they were enforced by the curriculum or schools or generally approach what are some of the explicitly harmful or discriminatory practices that used to be upheld in your schools?
खासमा अब मेरै स्कुल भन्दा पनि धेरै जसो स्कुलहरूमा होइन चाहिँ नि म अब आई युज टु प्ले बास्केटबल स्कुलको बेलामा अनि त्यसपछि म चाहिँ एउटा स्कुलमा बास्केटबल टुर्नामेन्टमा गएको थिएँ अनि त्यो स्कुलको चाहिँ गर्ल्सको टिम वाज रियली विक होइन अनि केटाको टिम चाहिँ एकदम स्ट्रङ थियो अनि वी लेटर गट टु नो होइन केटाहरूको ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ नि डेली हुन्थ्यो अरे कि इसिएको अनि केटीहरूको चाहिँ नि फ्राइडे मात्र हुने क्या अनि त्यसपछि अब हाम्रै स्कुलमा पनि कुरा गऱ्यो भने देयर वर सर्टेन स्पोर्ट्स एकदम छुट्याएर केटीको लागि मात्रै थियो क्या हुन त केटाको लागि पनि ओपन पोजिसन भन्थ्यो तर दे वर नट वेलकम जस्तै अब कसैले चाहिँ एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलरमा डान्स लिन खोज्यो भने त्यसले जस्तो केटी मात्र जाने होइन अनि त्यसपछि अब उसुहरू भयो भने केटी मात्र खेल्ने कराटे भयो भने केटा मात्र खेल्ने त्यस्तो खालको चलन चाहिँ नि त्यो बसेको थियो स्कुलमा स्पेसली स्पोर्ट्सवाला डोमेनमा चाहिँ
Yeah, हाम्रो स्कुलमा पनि क्रिकेट चाहिँ नि केटाहरूले मात्र खेल्न पाउँथ्यो अनि त्यसपछि आई रिमेम्बर देयर वाज दिस वान गर्ल हु रियली लाइक वान्टेड टु प्ले अनि त्यसपछि स्टार्ट अ टिम अनि सी इभन रिच्ड आउट टु हुन्छ नि कति धेरै स्पोर्ट्स टिचर इभन स्कुल एडमिन तर इट वाज जस्ट नेभर एड्रेस्ड अनि त्यसपछि कहिले पनि क्रिकेट टिम आई थिङ्क अहिलेसम्म पनि केटीहरूको क्रिकेट टिम छैन स्कुलमा
हो हाम्रोमा पनि थिएन, अहिले पनि छैन।
Yeah. र र आई रिमेम्बर इसिएसकै कुरामा पनि लाइक यो चाहिँ पछि चेन्ज भयो होइन म ग्रेड 9 10 हुँदा चेन्ज भयो तर म ग्रेड 4 हुँदाखेरि हाम्रो फर्स्टमा चाहिँ नि यो एक्टिभिटिज आफ्टर स्कुल एक्टिभिटिज भनेर हुन्थ्यो अनि त्यसपछि त्यसमा चाहिँ डिफ्रेन्ट एक्टिभिटिज लाइकमा पार्ट लिन पाउँथ्यो कि अनि त्यसपछि त्यसमा फर्म भर्दाखेरि चाहिँ के मतलब वाट डु यु वान प्रायोरिटाइज भनेर फर्म भर्नु पर्यो अनि वी युज टु गेट प्लेस्ड इन्टु दिस थिङ्स होइन र निटिङ र कुकिङमा चाहिँ नि ब्राकेटमा ओन्ली फर गर्ल्स भनेर लेखाएको थियो अनि त्यसपछि अनि हुन्छ नि म 6 7 नै हुँदासम्म पनि दिस टु मतलब तिमीले भने जस्तै केटाहरूको लागि ओपन छ पनि होइन कि हाम्रो केसमा चाहिँ नि एक्सप्लिसिटली नै दिस इज ओन्ली फर गर्ल्स भनेर कस्तो डिड दे नट रियलाइज हाउ प्रब्लमेटिक इट वाज लाइक लिटरली म ग्रेड 4 थिएँ होइन अनि आई स्टिल न्यू द्याट इट वाज जस्ट शिटी के how did these people who started a school not realize that you can't do this in 2000 I don't know what
त्यही
it was 12.
Yeah, exactly. I had this like very similar, like not similar thing, pani bhanda, but we had this grade 11, 12 ma home science one elective course, right? So the elective course na चाहिँ was usually filled with girls matra. So everybody used to be a girl. Ani the year I was studying, त्यति बेला one of the seniors, he decided to take home science, right? And he became the subject of mockery for the entire school. Okay? Like why would a guy take this? Why would a boy, choose to go into home science or subject? And blah blah blah. You're gonna be at this, and he got a lot of homophobic slurs, okay, because he did it just because he was choosing that way, no? So it was because the ingrained khale ke, not just from students, it was also from teachers. Okay? So the
Yeah.
teacher who used to teach home science we used to say, I know why, like, it would be very funny. It is very funny having you in the class because, I'm not used to boys and this is also like useless for you yourself. And discouraging comments that come from the administration itself, I know. And that was very sad. And plus, I don't know about Amriti cricket or Mata. I never saw girls going and playing cricket, na. But the thing about our school was that we had this thing about girls not wanting to go to sports at all because we had this teacher who was, who would kind of sexually harass them, right, in the playgrounds and etc. And girls were just discouraged from going anywhere around, and because they had to, choose a game or something, they would not end up not choosing anything. Okay? And even after there were endless number of complaints against that teacher, nothing was done about him. Okay, and
Yeah.
it just discouraged. And यस्तो चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ नि, girls are made to, you have to live with this because if you speak up, then it's gonna be bad for you yourself. भनेर जस्तो ideas. अनि त्यो conformity वाला idea चाहिँ यहीँबाट हुन्छ नि, you make you a student build up on these things. किनभने you spend a lot of time in these institutions and you end up becoming like these people.
Yeah, and I think I just think it's important to share that because you हामीले सबै भनिरहेको इस्युजहरू चाहिँ दे अपरेट एट एन इन्डिभिजुअल लेभल एन्ड एट अ सिस्टेमिक लेभल के लाइक इन्डिभिजुअल लेभलमा चाहिँ टिचरहरूले आफूले लिएर आउने बायस उनीहरूको आफ्नो हुन्छ नि डिप सिटेड बिलिभ्स एन्ड वाट नट दे are reflected through the things that they say and they do के तिमीले भने जस्तै होइन त्यो अब जस्तो mocking someone mocking guy who took home science or हुन्छ नि slut shaming girls and all of that it comes from a place of sort of individual त्यो टिचरहरूको बिलिभ्सहरू के अनि and to sort of complement that, there's nothing systemic stopping them from doing that. Okay, so उनीहरूले they can just go and do that without any consequence or repercussions, whatsoever. In fact, it's encouraged, okay, होइन? Because the systemic level मा पनि केही पनि gender sensitivity training हुँदैन, अथवा sexual कन्सेन्ट जस्तो कुराहरू हुन्छ नि, यस्तो कुराहरू स्कुल्सले एन्फोर्स नै गर्दैन क्या सिस्टमिक लेभलमा. एन्ड द्याट्स वाइ तिमीले भने जस्तै हुन्छ नि, सेक्सुअली हरास भए पनि यस्तो यस्तो केसेसहरूमा पनि अकाउन्टेबिलिटी नै हुँदैन, बिकज दिस थिङ्स आर जस्ट नट टेकन सिरियसली बाई द स्कुल के. अनि त्यसपछि वाट द्याट मिन्स इज हुन्छ नि, women, girls, and gender minorities, they continue to have to live in this reality with no change. And obviously it also means that they have zero to very low like bargaining power or voice to make any sort of change. यस्तो केसेसहरूमा किनभने if you speak up, you become त्यसपछि तिमी you become the target, होइन?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really sad.
There was this very interesting thing, Raina, that was I was thinking of the other day. So we were given a task to perform new traffic volunteering thing, right? And त्यसमा चाहिँ we had to stand on the road, guide, helping the traffic police, etc., with their daily whereabouts, होइन? अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ we had to stand for like 4-5 hours त्यतिकै on the road, अनि just do the thing. This much what I felt was throughout the practice, like if somebody comes up and asks me, Rose, what did you learn from this entire experience? I learned how easy it is for people to just see me as an object and nothing else. And how sad it made me, it just made me feel that for that person, it's just, you catcall and you just, you tease a person and you make a person feel disgusted. For them, it's very fun thing to do. But that's what is making them do it in the first place. But for you, it is going to be a very personal trauma that you keep on inculcating from every single person that you see. And the worst thing is, you can't even make them feel the thing that they're making you feel. Okay, like they're making you feel like an object every single day. Like you're just a hole or something like that, and they won't ever know how it feels like. I mean, nobody has taught us how to deal with all of these things. Okay? And you learn every single thing in school, but you don't learn how to speak up because the idea of abiding by the school standards, the discipline, that is enforced by something as small as standing in a straight assembly line for 45 minutes in a scorching sunlight. These are the kind of things that make you just silence and not tell your pain. Okay? I know you have to have 100% attendance or a minimum attendance. But what about some students who are just not able to attend school every single day because of their health conditions, right? And then you end up
Yes.
not speaking up, and that leads to a larger cycle of you conforming to ISTISTA experiences where you yourself have to take on the trauma and the pain and also the guilt about not being able to do anything.
नट जस्ट हेल्थ, खासमा तिमीले अघि भनेको थियौ नि कसरी चाहिँ नि एउटा केटाले होम साइन्स चुज गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ नि होमोफोबिक स्लरहरू आयो होइन. त्यो हाम्रो करिकुलममा चाहिँ त्यो जेन्डर बाइनेरीको यस्तो मजाले गाडेको छ नि होइन, त्यो रुट हामी मध्ये चाहिँ नि होइन, यदि कोही चाहिँ त्यो न्यारेटिभमा फिट गराएको छैन भने दे आर मेड टु सफर इन साइलेन्स के. अनि nobody even tries to notice या फेरि कहीँबाट पनि केहीबाट पनि त्यो मान्छेलाई चाहिँ नि आफ्नो ट्रु सेल्फलाई प्रेजेन्ट गर्नलाई स्पेस छैन क्या, इभन इन स्कुल. अनि त्यो पछि चाहिँ नि कसरी हाउ विल द्याट पर्सन स्पिक अप भन्ने कुरा त्यो थाहा पनि छैन क्या. इट इज रियली स्याड.
I think this like we could also talk about यो कुरा चाहिँ ड्रेस कोड्सहरुबाट पनि कतिको चाहिँ एकदम धेरै आइराको हुन्छ हैन. It's just एकदमै धेरै excessively present in the domain of dress codes पनि. Like you have to if you want to talk about dresses, अब dress को length भयो, the way you dress up, etc., etc. It just हुन्छ नि the room for objectification एकदमै धेरै open गरिदिन्छ from the teacher's end as well. Okay, you're wearing a perfectly normal dress, and teachers will come up and say that no, why are you wearing such a short dress, or why are you seeking attention, why do you want everybody to look at you? I feel like you know, I myself have had that experience once, because my skirt was like directly on the knee level, and I was said that I'm seeking attention because you know, not everybody is there in the line who's, you know, not wearing a below the knee wala skirt. And I'm like, you know, there is also a thing called personality, and the skirt below the knee just looks not so good, and you just choose to it's not even provocative, though they don't see it as a dressing choice. They see it as a provocative mechanism with which we're like, you know, trying to
No,
lure
exactly. And
or
what does that
somebody.
even mean? Okay, like what हुन्छ नि telling you're trying to be provocative to कति 13-14 वर्षको मान्छेहरू, we're kids. What do they understand about any of this? होइन,
Exactly.
you're हुन्छ नि by
Exactly.
saying this नै you're inculcating all of these एकदमै
Ideas.
नराम्रो
To people.
आइडियाजहरू in your heads, and you're telling हुन्छ नि 13-14-year-old केटाहरू that it's fine to be
Yes.
provoked, whatever
They,
that means.
Yeah.
And then हुन्छ
and
नि
they
त्यही त
say
हाम्रो
they,
स्कुलमा पनि
they
हुन्थ्यो, हाम्रो स्कुलमा पनि हुन्थ्यो कि हुन्छ नि यस्तो ब्लुमर्स चेक गर्ने अथवा भेस्ट चेक गर्ने एकदमै इन्भेजिभ तरिकामा के विथ नो कन्सिडरेसन अफ मान्छेको पर्सनल बााउन्ड्रिज, नो कन्सिडरेसन्स अबाउट कन्सेन्ट वाट्स एभर होइन, यसै आएर यु who okay टिचरहरू to just come up to you and like lift up your skirts to see what you're wearing underneath in front of everyone. र यस्तो यस्तो कुराले यति trauma दिएको हुन्छ growing up, and we don't even have spaces to unpack this trauma and talk about it किनभने यति normalized भइसक्यो, no one sees a problem with it के हुन्छ नि things have always been like this. स्कुल रुल्सको गाइजमा, डिसिप्लिनको गाइजमा चाहिँ यो कुराहरू कन्टिन्यू भइरहेको छ, no one questions it, अनि त्यसपछि it's just extremely sad.
the dress code was really problematic. अनि मलाई चाहिँ खासमा मैले अब 10+2 गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ there used to be a lot of restrictions त्यो स्कुलमा चाहिँ, बस्ने तरिका, खाने तरिका, हाँस्ने तरिका, अनि त्यसपछि सबैभन्दा डिस्टर्बिङ लागेको एक्सपिरियन्स चाहिँ there was this whole class dedicated to moral policing, and it used to take place every week. अनि त्यो त्यो एक हप्ताको 1 घन्टाको क्लासमा चाहिँ नि ट्रेनरले they discussed about to discuss गर्ने विषय वस्तु चाहिँ it ranged from shaming a girl for marrying someone who is older to shaming her for wearing a dress that does not come off as acceptable to the fast limitations of society. It was really disturbing. Dress code को त झन् कुरै नगरे हुन्छ.
Mirita, I have this experience where I had to stand outside the hall, the main hall, because we decided to show up in a one piece. Like it was a school function, and we decided to show up in one piece because why not, right? It's a dress and it looks beautiful. And they're like, the teachers were like, this is going to be provocative, so you guys have to sit outside in the corridor. So we were made to sit outside. We were not even allowed to attend the entire thing. So yeah, and then we became a thing for mockery for the entire of the school for that day.
Yeah.
मलाई पनि थाहा छ हाम्रो one of the farewellsमा मैले चाहिँ हैन, तर there were some girls who decided to wear something else other than sari, and they were also made to leave the event.
Yeah. Also, what is up with these? अहिले हामीले भर्खर कुरा गर्यौं नि, what is up with these schools teaching period को बारेमा only to girls, as if like boys are not even involved in the process, and boys should not. It's something that they should not know.
Exactly. त्यसरी नै केटाहरूको दिमागमा चाहिँ नि एकदम एउटा सेन्स अफ एन्टाइटलमेन्ट राख्थ्यो क्या स्कुलबाट नै है. I think that was really sad.
Yeah, as of like Ansani, about you're also trying to talk about period talk, any girls, any etc. like harassment or and it's only saying that girls you should not do this. Boys like say keep in sign and boys ko lagi it was becoming a thing of Ansani, uh I don't know, a thing of fascination. What are these girls talking to the teachers about and etc. etc. So they're not even involved in the process of knowing the problems that girls go through. So त्यो empathy wala कुरा हुन्छ नि, the connection or the link that they have to us, that's also कस्तो shut down through the school's name. And yeah, so it comes up as हुन्छ नि, the entire thing that the school talks about, okay, through its curriculum, through its behaviors, through its modulation of road discipline, etc. Is but it just becomes too much of a thing that makes girls just begin to conform, and also opens them to a lot of harassment by the same boys that these schools are also teaching. Okay.
So, on that very sad note, let's move towards concluding this episode. Um,
यो हामीले चाहिँ अब सबै हेर्दा बुझ्दा अनि त्यसपछि भोग्दा चाहिँ नि आई थिङ्क देयर सुड बी अ चेन्ज इन करिकुलम अनि ड्रेस कोडको पनि आई थिङ्क इट रियली सुड बी looked upon as something problematic rather than disciplinary. अनि खासमा सबैभन्दा इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ नि मेरो विचारमा चाहिँ नि टिचरहरूलाई जेन्डर सेन्सिटिभिटीको ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ नि इज अ मस्ट, किनभने टिचरको लेभलबाट चाहिँ नि एकदम धेरै ब्लन्डर भइरहेको हुन्छ यो कुरामा, जसले गर्दा चाहिँ बच्चाको मानसिक स्थितिमा चाहिँ अलि बढी नै असर पर्छ होइन. अनि यदि टिचर पढाउने शिक्षक नै is not able to convey the message of the biases that exists in society, बच्चाहरू चाहिँ नि पछि इग्नोरेन्टै हुन्छ क्या त्यो ठुलो हुँदाखेरि. अनि दे काइन्ड अफ कन्ट्रिब्युट टु रेप कल्चर, अनि त्यसपछि अरू बायसेसहरू अनि जेन्डर इन्सेन्सिटिभिटी यस्ता कुराहरूमा चाहिँ नि. सो द्याट इज वाट आई थिङ्क. I think we should conclude Abba with this.
yeah, and see you all on the next episode with something as exciting and important to talk about.
So with that, I Rose Singh.
Hi, Arya.
And I, Tiza.
We sign off and see you in another episode. Bye.